Have you ever felt tired of procrastinating and not being able to start? That feeling is not your fault. It's because you're missing one important thing: discipline. What would happen if you knew how to apply a simple set of principles to master yourself, even when everything around you is in chaos? Imagine you could live by a system of discipline, not out of force, but from true freedom. Sounds paradoxical, doesn't it? Welcome to Wisdom Daily. In today's video, we will explore 9 Stoic principles to help you build strong mental discipline, not through harshness, but through true freedom. Let's dive into each principle to see how this change can benefit you. Principle 1. Discipline is self-respect. We often think of discipline as a form of punishment, something cold and uncomfortable. But in reality, discipline is not about force. Discipline is how we respect ourselves. Think about this. If you can't respect yourself, how can anyone else respect you? You might think of discipline as a way to control your life. But truly, discipline is freedom. When you discipline yourself, you're not just following rules. You're building a life that's free and purposeful. Discipline is self-respect. When you set principles for yourself and persistently pursue your goals, you're showing yourself the deepest form of self-love. You don't give up on yourself just because of laziness or temporary feelings. You stick to your habits, actions, and decisions every day, not because you're forcing yourself, but because you know that's the path to growth. Can you imagine what it would feel like if every action you take were driven by discipline, not out of fear or pressure, but because you love yourself enough to do so? That means you respect yourself enough to not let weakness dictate your life. You're not just doing things for short-term gains, but for long-term growth. That's true freedom. Freedom from the dependence on comfort and laziness. Imagine waking up at 5 a.m. every day, not because someone is pressuring you, but because you know that's the only way to grow and achieve what you want. There's nothing sweeter than the freedom you gain when you're confident in your decisions. That's discipline, not as force, but as a part of you, a purposeful way of living. Discipline is not coercion or punishment. It is self-respect, a way of showing love and care for yourself. When you have discipline, you don't just live by principles, you live with purpose and strength. This is what helps you overcome challenges and achieve sustainable growth in life. To maintain discipline like this, you can't wait for motivation to come to you, because motivation is never the deciding factor. Start acting, and motivation will follow. Principle 2. Don't wait for motivation. Act first. We've all heard the saying, just do it, and motivation will come afterward. But why do we still hesitate, waiting for that ready feeling? Before we start, this is one of the biggest mistakes we make. We wait for motivation, as if it's the prerequisite to begin taking action. But in reality, motivation is not the starting factor. Motivation only comes after you start acting. Imagine you've decided to wake up at 5 a.m. to exercise, but when the alarm rings, you just want to snooze for another 10 minutes. In that moment, you feel tired and unmotivated to get out of bed. That's when procrastination and laziness attack you strongly. But if you act like the Stoics and just get up and start exercising, you'll realize that motivation begins to show up after just a few minutes. Motivation comes from action, not from thinking about action. When you start doing something, even the smallest task, you create movement in both your mind and body. Motivation is the result of action, not the condition to start. This doesn't just happen with exercising. It happens in all areas of life. You want to learn a new skill, complete a project, or even write a book. Don't wait until you feel full of energy and motivation. Start, and motivation will follow. This theory aligns perfectly with Stoic principles. Marcus Aurelius said, "We cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we react." And your reaction to not having motivation is to start acting right away. No waiting, no procrastination. So start today. If you've been procrastinating, learning a new skill, open a book and read a few pages. If you want to start a new habit, take action right now, even if it's just a small step. Once you get into action, motivation will follow. Remember, motivation is not the factor to begin, it is the result of action. If you keep waiting until you feel motivated, you'll stay stuck. Instead, act first, and motivation will follow. Once you begin, you'll feel the change gradually, and that's when you'll achieve real progress in life. But action is not the only factor. Discipline must fit your personal nature for long-term sustainability. There isn't always a one-size-fits-all approach. Principle 3. Discipline must fit your personal nature. Why can one person wake up early every day and work out, while another feels tired and procrastinates? There's something many people don't. Realize, discipline is not a one-size-fits-all formula. Each of us has our own rhythm and needs. If you try to live by a discipline that doesn't align with your nature, you'll feel like you're wearing a suit that's too tight to breathe in. Instead of making you stronger, that discipline will make you feel confined and deprived of freedom. Think of discipline like clothing. A suit that fits your body makes you feel comfortable and confident, but if it's too loose or too tight, you won't be able to move naturally. If you're a creative person who enjoys working in quiet hours at night, don't force yourself to wake up at 5 a.m. just because it's someone else's routine. Similarly, if you're an energetic person who loves the hustle and bustle of mornings, waking up early will be the perfect discipline for you. Don't imitate others. Build your discipline based on what suits your nature and lifestyle. If you're someone who has more energy at night, create a nighttime routine to make the most of this time. Remember, discipline is not imitation, but understanding yourself and applying it to your everyday life. Discipline is a purposeful way of living, and it needs to fit your personality and circumstances. In fact, Stoic principles emphasize that everyone has their own rhythm. People like Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus, despite living in very different circumstances, found ways to build a discipline that suited their lives. And you can do the same. Discipline is not a universal solution. It must fit your nature and personality to be sustainable in the long run. Build your discipline your way, and you'll see lasting change and growth. Find the time and method that feels most comfortable for you to work, and build your habits from there. Don't force yourself into molds set by others. That's true discipline. Discipline personalized for you. Principle 4. Facing difficulties and persistence. Why do we often avoid challenges instead of facing them head-on? The feeling of difficulty is inevitable when you're building discipline. In fact, when you set big goals and decide to change, your habits, challenges will arise. You'll feel tired, frustrated, sometimes even defeated. But what matters is not how many challenges you face, but how you respond to them. True discipline shows itself in persistence, even when things aren't easy. Imagine you're in a boxing match. If you run away every time your opponent strikes, you'll never win. But if you stand your ground and keep fighting, even in the face of difficulty, you'll gradually become a stronger fighter. This is similar to life. Discipline is not about avoiding difficulties. In fact, discipline only truly matters when you face challenges and endure difficulties without giving up. Each time you bravely overcome challenges, you're building strength and perseverance within yourself. Nothing worth having comes without difficulty. Marcus Aurelius once said, "We cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we react." Every challenge is an opportunity for you to show your resilience, push past temporary weakness, and reaffirm your goals. When facing difficulties, don't let them stop you. Don't look for reasons to quit. Look for reasons to keep going, to persevere. The more challenges you face, the stronger and more resilient you become. For example, if you're working on losing weight, there will be days when you don't feel like continuing, times when you have to say no to delicious food. Those are the toughest moments. But it's in those moments, when you don't quit and keep going in the right direction, that you truly build the strength of discipline. Persistence doesn't mean you never face difficulty. Persistence means that no matter how difficult things get, you stand firm and keep moving forward. And one day, you'll look back and realize that those difficulties helped you grow and become stronger than ever. Remember, discipline is not about rigid control. Discipline is about being resilient in the face of challenges and staying committed to your goals, no matter the obstacles ahead. And only when you face and overcome difficulties will you truly feel the value of discipline in your life. Principle 5. Discipline is not coercion. Why do we feel discipline as a burden instead of a tool that makes us freer? That's a question many of us have asked ourselves. We think of discipline as a form of restriction, a way to limit and control our freedom. But in reality, discipline is not coercion. True discipline is true freedom. Because when you have discipline, you have control over your life. Think about it. Have you ever felt tired of being caught up in the cycle of work, social commitments, or even your own unconscious habits? You want to change, but don't know where to start. You feel controlled by all these external factors, from the temptations of social media to your bad habits. At that moment, discipline is the key to regaining control over your life. In fact, discipline is a conscious choice, not coercion. When you consciously build good habits and consistently pursue them, you no longer get caught up in temporary distractions. You're actively organizing your life according to meaningful principles, instead of letting circumstances or emotions dictate you. In other words, discipline gives you more freedom because you can live the life you want, not the life controlled by external factors or distractions. You can decide when and what to do, rather than letting bad habits or unconscious decisions lead you astray. Think of discipline as a tool to help you create an organized and meaningful life. With discipline, you can live freely in a chaotic world. You can take control of your time, manage your tasks, and create a purposeful life, instead of living mindlessly as things come along. Discipline helps you set goals and take purposeful actions to achieve them. And when you live purposefully, you won't face the feeling of regret or wasted time. You're living by your own principles, not by the endless demands of others or society. True freedom is not doing whatever you want without limits, but having the ability to decide what you want and to manage your actions to achieve it. When you have discipline, you can accomplish your important goals and live the life you've always wanted. So, do you dare to try it? Start living with discipline, and you'll feel the power of the freedom discipline brings. Principle 6. The lesson of time. Have you ever thought that you don't have enough time to do the important things in life? In today's world, time seems to be the most valuable asset, yet it is also the easiest thing for us to waste. Every day, we often get caught up in meaningless tasks, casual conversations, or simply habits that make us lose focus on what truly matters. But there's one thing that Stoic philosophers have known for a long time. Time is an irreplaceable asset. Marcus Aurelius said, "We do not have a short time to live, but we waste much of it." This means that if you don't manage your time purposefully, you'll easily let it slip away without meaning. Every minute that passes can be used to improve yourself, achieve your goals, or create meaningful connections. So why waste it? Time is something that cannot be recovered. Once it's gone, you can't go back to fix it. Every minute, every hour is a valuable opportunity to build the life you want. But often, we don't realize this and let time pass by unconsciously. We check our phones every hour, mindlessly browse the web, or procrastinate on important tasks just for the comfort of the moment. Every time we do that, we're losing an opportunity to move forward. The important thing is not how much time you have, but how you use it. Think of time as the bricks that build your life. Every decision you make, every action you take is a brick in the foundation of the life you are building. If you don't manage your time actively, these bricks will be missed, and eventually, you'll realize that you've built a life without direction. So, instead of letting time pass meaningless, take control of every minute to build the life you truly want. This doesn't mean you have to work day and night without rest. In fact, taking time for yourself, for relaxation, and for self-care is also an important part of time management, but you need to do it purposefully. One of the simplest ways to manage time effectively is to plan your day clearly. Don't let your day pass unconsciously. Set goals and prioritize the most important things. Small tasks like answering emails or checking social media can be done later, but important tasks like learning, working creatively, or improving yourself need to be prioritized. Remember, every minute is a brick in the building of your life. You can use them to build great things, or you can let them pass without leaving any mark. The choice is yours. The sooner you realize the value of time and learn how to manage it, the more opportunities you'll have to live a purposeful, full, and meaningful life. Time waits for no one, and only when you learn to make the most of every moment can you truly live the life you want to achieve. Principle 7. Discipline and success. Why do some people achieve success but quickly lose it, while others seem to maintain it consistently? We often think that once we achieve success, everything will get easier. But in reality, success is a very fragile thing if you don't maintain discipline. One of the biggest challenges when achieving success is the sense of satisfaction and laziness that can set in. When we reach certain goals, we sometimes think we've made it, and from there, laziness begins to sneak into our lives. When you achieve success, you may feel self-satisfied. You might think you deserve to rest and enjoy the rewards of your hard work. However, the truth is that success can make you lazy and lead you to lose those achievements. This is when discipline must be maintained more than ever. Think about top athletes, successful investors, or famous people you admire. They don't stop practicing, working hard, and maintaining discipline, even after achieving success. Success is not a destination, but a continuous journey. To maintain success, you need discipline, not only when you start, but also after you've reached your goals. The stories of the most successful people always have one thing in common. They don't stop after achieving a small success. They continue to improve themselves, keep learning, and maintain discipline to achieve even bigger goals. There's nothing easier than relaxing after achieving a goal, but discipline will help you maintain progress and avoid losing what you've achieved. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, lived his entire life with a simple yet powerful philosophy. What got you here will not keep you here. This means that if you only rely on the habits and achievements from the past without continuing to maintain discipline, you'll soon find yourself falling behind. Imagine a simple example in everyday life. You've successfully lost weight after months of consistent exercise and proper eating. However, after achieving your goal, you feel self-satisfied and begin to neglect the principles that helped you succeed. You start eating without control, skipping workouts, and after some time, you realize you've fallen back into your old habits. That's the consequence of losing discipline after success. Therefore, discipline is the key factor that helps you maintain success, not just achieving it. Success only truly matters when you can sustain it and keep progressing. Don't let self-satisfaction hinder your continued efforts. Discipline will be the companion that helps you maintain development and not lose what you've already achieved. Principle 8. Creating sustainable habits. Why do some habits lift us up while others drag us down? Habits are the foundation of all discipline. But not all habits are helpful. Some habits can help you progress every day, while others waste time and energy. So how do you create sustainable habits that help you grow in the long run? Sustainable habits are actions you take daily without forcing yourself too much, but still bring significant value to your life. When you build habits that benefit you, you don't have to think about doing them. You just do them automatically, as part of your daily life. The key here is choosing habits that align with your goals. Want to improve your health? Start with a habit of exercising every morning. Want to boost creativity? Establish a habit of writing every day. Want to live a balanced life? Set a habit of meditation or reading each evening. But it's not just about choosing the right habits. Sustainable habits must be built with patience and perseverance. If you think you can change the world in one day just because you're motivated, you will quickly become disappointed. A habit can only become a part of your life when you create a stable and repetitive action system. Many people fail at building lasting habits because they choose goals that are too big, unrealistic, and put too much pressure on themselves. Instead, start with small steps, ones that are easy to implement, and gradually build them up. For example, instead of demanding that you exercise for an hour every day right away, you can start with just 10 minutes daily and then increase the time as you feel comfortable. Another example is in learning. If you want to read a thick book, don't think about finishing the whole book in one day. Start with reading a few pages every day. Surely after a while, you will find yourself not only completing the book, but also feeling more comfortable, maintaining this habit. Sustainable habits are not just about repetition, but about mindful repetition. You need to create an environment that supports your habits, making them easier and more enjoyable. For example, you can place your gym shoes near your bed to remind yourself to wake up and exercise. You can also prepare healthy meals the night before so that you don't face the temptation of fast food in the morning. For every habit you create, focus on making it simple, easy, and sustainable over the long run. When a habit becomes a part of you, you won't have to struggle with yourself every day. You will do it automatically, without needing too much effort or determination. Building good habits will undoubtedly help you achieve sustainable progress in life. But don't forget that a bad habit can have the opposite effect, wasting your time and energy. So be careful about the habits you form, as they will determine your direction in life. Principle 9. Mastering dopamine and the desire for instant comfort. Why do we continuously seek instant gratification, even though we know it doesn't bring long-term value? In today's world, we are constantly surrounded by instant stimuli, from phone notifications, social media, to easy-to-access entertainment and activities. Every time you check your phone, you get a dopamine hit, a moment of instant comfort that your brain craves. But this is exactly what causes us to get caught up in the cycle of unhelpful habits. Dopamine is a chemical in the brain that makes you feel comfortable and satisfied. When you eat something delicious, get praise from others, or even just receive a like on social media, your brain releases dopamine, and you feel a brief sense of pleasure. But the problem is, this feeling is short-lived and doesn't have long-term value. There's nothing wrong with occasionally enjoying instant pleasures, but if you live in an endless loop of dopamine-driven habits, you'll start feeling that you're losing control over your life and long-term goals. Think about the times you sat down to browse Facebook or Instagram just to see a few posts, but ended up spending hours on it. These habits create immediate pleasure, but afterward, you feel empty and your precious time has been wasted. Mastering dopamine is one of the crucial factors in maintaining discipline. You need to learn how to control your cravings for instant rewards and instead seek long-term fulfillment from meaningful goals and actions. This will not only help you build discipline, but also help you live a more fulfilling life. The way to do this is to reduce instant stimuli and focus on actions that provide sustainable value. For example, instead of spending time scrolling through social media after work, spend your time reading a good book or learning a new skill. These actions don't provide immediate pleasure, but they give you a deep sense of satisfaction when you see your progress over time. An effective way to reduce dopamine-driven habits is to create an environment with fewer external stimuli. Turn off notifications on your phone, limit time spent on social media, and set up quiet time to focus on important tasks. The less you depend on instant stimuli, the easier it will be to focus on long-term goals. But how do you maintain patience and discipline when the desire for instant comfort is always present? The answer is by building habits and environments where long-term rewards are your focus. You need to create satisfaction from completing a challenging task rather than seeking instant comfort. In reality, mastering dopamine is an essential part of building a disciplined and meaningful life. Only when you learn to wait, and seek long-term fulfillment will you truly grow, not just physically, but also mentally. Satisfaction in life will not come from short-term temptations, but from the things you create with your effort and perseverance. As we've explored together, the 9 Stoic principles for building strong mental discipline are not just theoretical advice, they are practical principles that can change your life. Discipline is not punishment or coercion, it is freedom, self-respect, and the way you control your life rather than letting life control you. Motivation is not something you wait for, it comes after you start taking action. And only when you understand that discipline must align with your personal nature can you begin to build sustainable habits that ensure long-term success. Don't forget that success is not a fixed destination. It is a continuous journey where you always need to maintain discipline, face difficulties, and seek long-term satisfaction instead of chasing easy and immediate habits. Imagine a life where you truly have control over every moment, where every decision you make is driven by discipline and a clear purpose. That is true freedom. And now, it's your turn to take action. If you find these Stoic principles helpful, I want you to do one thing right now. Choose a personal discipline goal you want to pursue and write it down under this video. Share your goal with the Wisdom Daily community, and let's track your progress together in the coming weeks. What do you think about these Stoic principles? Thank you for watching the video, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next inspiring videos. Join us on the journey to build discipline and live a purposeful life. Now take a moment, think about what you want to change, and take action today. We'll be with you every step of the way.